Hey, and welcome to the Do You Have a Job or a Business edition of 7-Figure Business Secrets. Yes, it's just before 9 o'clock and I'm actually sitting here waiting for the post office to open, of all things. I don't know about you, but I haven't been to the post office in about 3 or 4 months. But every time I go to the post office, I'm always amazed because, the modern economy and online stuff, and you'd expect that post offices are, dead. Who needs to send letters anymore? Well, if you have a look behind me, there must be about 15, maybe even 20 people queuing and waiting for this post office to open, which should be in about 3 or 4 minutes, which means I'm going to speak to you for more than 3 or 4 minutes, wait for the queue to go, and then go in. But it's mad, isn't it? There's a whole pile of things that we just presume aren't working or aren't there anymore, or just don't exist anymore. And it's only when you go and look with your own eyes and see that you realize, hang on a second, there's something going on here. I think the post office is a brilliant example of that. And I remember about 4 months ago when I first was thinking about this, and I actually went in and just watched and listened to what was going on. And wow, the services that get offered, the post office has really adapted, because basically what they've got is they've got a shop, yeah. And previously all they did was they accepted letters in and they sold you stamps basically, yeah, and did a bit of savings. But now they've got tie-ups with banks, they offer insurance, they have, it's like almost like a grocery store inside. So they've actually diversified and they've used the asset that they've got, which is the shop. So they still have the shop, they still have potentially people coming to it, and now they've just built on top of that, and they've got a thriving business. It's quite amazing, and that's what I want to talk to you about is the difference between a job and a business. And there's a lot of yada 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 about this is a job, this is a business, and have you got a job, have you got a business? But it's important, I think, to really understand the difference, but not in the way that most people talk about it. Most people will say, oh well, if you've got a job if you've got a boss, basically. But it's not quite like that at all. I think most business owners that I know are actually in a job. And here's how I define it. And actually, this is critically important for you. But I'll be all serious for a second. Yeah, Keith in serious mode. But no kidding aside, right? If you can actually run a business rather than own a job, you are light years ahead of everyone else, and you're going to be light years ahead of actually being more successful and figuring out what it is you need to do, and actually getting that great future that we're all so excited about, being able to have income that comes in whenever you want, and live wherever you want, and have great holidays and vacations, and that's all possible. But if you've got a job rather than a business, it's a lot more difficult. So that's what I want you to really pay attention to is do you have a job that you're calling a business, or do you actually have a business, or maybe you've actually got a business and you don't realize what you got to stoke to get it really firing. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. So it's really important, right? So what's a job? Well, in my language, a job is basically anywhere where you're trading your time and your hours for cash. Yeah. So if you're thinking anything from, you've got an hourly rate or a salary or something like that, where essentially you get paid for showing up and doing some work and going home. Yeah, that's essentially a job. And most of us understand that pretty well. If we're called an employee or something like that, we've got a job, yeah? But there's a grey area, which most business owners fall into, where they think they've got a business, but actually they don't, they've got a job. And it's where, essentially, a lot of business owners, they're trading their time for money. And you see this a lot in businesses like consulting, and a whole rake of them, where you've got a business owner, but actually you're not a business owner. You're just a self-employed job owner, right? Your boss is you, but you still get your money from actually showing up and putting whatever the 8 hours a day is in, and getting cash at the end for it. It's a job, right? It's a job. Particularly if you're running a business that's got just a few customers and you can't swap out customers, that's another really good sign that you're in a job. If you just can't fire a customer, it's a bit like not being able to fire a boss. Yeah, you got a job. you have constraints on you that are basically constraining you, and you're earning by the hour. Yeah, that's a job. So what's different about a business? Well, Well, the big, massive difference about a business is rather than earn your money through hourly rates, yeah, so cash per hour and spending your time, you earn your money through assets and through leveraging assets, right? Now, in a business, assets they can be all sorts of things. From the really obvious one is, if you might have a factory and your factory produces loads of stuff and you sell it, your factory's an asset, right? But I want you to wind back because assets are all over the place in your business, and it's really important to start realizing what's an asset, what's not, and which assets are really important to develop and which ones are, let them die. Yeah. So the really important assets, if you think about a business, are basically you're an asset, right? So you need to be investing in yourself and making sure you're good. Your team is an asset, right? So when you have a skilled, trained person who can actually do stuff for you, independent of you, that's a massive asset, right? So you need to be building more of them. And the other asset that a lot of people overlook is just the asset of processes. If you have a process, right, let's say it's your sales process or your marketing process, and you know that if you put €10 in and you get €50 back in sales, right, that's an asset. It's like call it a money machine, yeah? So I buy, let's say it's advertising in your local newspaper. So you buy an ad for €100 and you get back €500 back in sales. That's an asset. And you put in €200 and you get 1,000. You put in €2,000 and you get 10,000 back. Yeah. So that's an asset that your business has built. And actually that's one of the most important assets, your money machine asset. So whether it's all about how you get customers in and convert them to sales. So whether you're advertising through Facebook or you've got a salesperson out on the road, if you have a machine that brings in cash, that is probably your business's most critical asset. And then the second part is you probably have some type of a production hub, right? So if you're actually making stuff in your factory, that's dead obvious. But if you're a consultant, it's probably your brain and the information that you produce that's your information stuff, or the information that your team produces. And it's important to have that working well, yeah, so that your information you're producing, the bit that actually gives the customer the solution they're looking for, works well. And if you've got one of them working well, so let's say like the post office here, they have people come to the front door every day, yeah. So that part of the business, so that inside in there, they've got to have a way of helping people part their cash in exchange for providing goods and services. That's what's happening inside there at the moment. Is that little hub, the production hub they've got? I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to actually. What I need is I need to make sure that this envelope definitely gets to where it needs to be by tomorrow morning, registered. Yep. So that's the problem that I need solved. I'm going to go in there, and they have a solution for that, just sitting there, and they're going to give it to me and make sure it gets delivered, and I'm going to be well happy. And their job is to make sure that there's more of me turning up there every morning at 9 o'clock looking for these services, because they already have that existing production asset. And if they can get more sales and marketing assets to get more people in there, they don't have to double the size of that shop. That shop's fine to cope with probably double, treble, even quadruple the number of customers they have. Yeah. So their job is not to, double the shop. It's just to get more customers in. And that's the beauty of when you realize your business is all about assets, that you're going to start looking at your business thinking, okay, what assets do I have? Like the shop. How do I get more use out of those assets? So I need to build more assets around getting people in, getting more traction, getting more customers, and that's essentially the business. That's all it is. So what happens if you're in a role and you realize that actually you've got a job? So maybe you're in consulting and you're thinking, Keith, hang on a second, my whole job is to sell by the hour. Well, no, it's not really. It's not really. If your whole job is to sell by the hour, then you'd be quite happy with €5 an hour, but you're not. Yeah. So what's going on? You've got half-baked ideas. So you want to get maybe 250 an hour or 500 an hour, whatever it is in your mind as a consultant. That's your value. And what you've got to do is build assets around you, so positioning assets and marketing assets and product assets, right, that basically have you going into a company where the company's demanding you rather than you demanding it, and you get that higher rate. And And you also need to have little mini-me's, yeah? So ideally, you want 2 or 3 mini-me's that can actually go and replicate your system and your process and deliver all what's in your head to additional customers, even when you're on another customer site, yeah? That's how you translate. My words today, all over the place. But that's how you translate your business from being a job into a proper business. And again, the beauty of the business is that these assets and things, they can run independent of you. And when you have all these assets running independent of you, like just the post office here, I know the owner is not there. The owner is still, well, probably not fast asleep in bed, but dropping the kids off to school at the moment, because right, the owner doesn't need to be there to open up the shop. The owner doesn't need to be there to have me going in the door. The owner's already built all these systems in place. There's someone else that she's trained to go and be behind the counter. And it just gives her the flexibility to basically live life as she needs to. And that's what you can have. But you got to start making sure that, first of all, you have a business, not a job. And by the way, if you're massively VC, or if you're thinking VC capital is the way, basically VCs, for most businesses that I see, VC is nothing more than you're employed by a VC in the end, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs who have a business, actually they don't. They actually have a job, and the job is paid for by a VC. And they have a job. They have bosses that drive them furiously. Sorry, that's my aside on VCs. But on your own business is really start looking at what assets you've actually got. And believe you me, you have loads of assets. You have loads of assets, everything from your connections, your networks, your employees, your premises, your online presence, your websites, your Facebooks, your social media stuff, all the stuff you've ever done before, all your information out there. If you've been running a blog, that's an asset for you. If you've been doing videos, that's an asset. If you've got a podcast, that's an asset. If you've got direct mail and brochures, they're assets. So have a look at all of them and figure out, okay, of all the assets that I've got, which ones am I underutilizing at the moment? Which ones could I be using more? Just like the shop back here, they've got the shop. Their underutilized asset is actually the shop, so they just need to increase their focus on the other assets to drive more business in there. So that's what I want you to do. Have a look and go and start figuring it out and treat it like a business. It's like a game of chess. It's like, which pieces do I have? Which ones are worth most? And how do I make maximum use out of the pieces that I've actually got on the board? Yeah. Okay, right. Hope that helps. Have fun. Enjoy yourselves today. And I shall speak to you later. Bye.